What occurs when the cosmos delivers evidence that utterly baffles our established scientific frameworks? What happens when an object appears that our models are simply not equipped to interpret? Comet Atlas represents such a moment. Every single aspect of it, from its metallic heart to its paradoxical, sunward streaming tail, appears engineered to dismantle our scientific classifications. This celestial visitor demands a decision. Do we desperately hold on to conventional explanations which necessitate an ever-expanding list of bizarre and unlikely exceptions? Or do we dare to consider the alternative, that we are observing a piece of technology functioning on principles that are currently far beyond our grasp? The consequences of this choice will fundamentally reshape our position within the universe. First, let us delve into the physical makeup of Atlas. It is here that the observations present the initial significant departure from what we would naturally anticipate. When scientists examine a standard comet, they find a compact, rocky nucleus, a frozen artifact from the birth of our solar system. However, the density readings from Atlas paint a radically different picture. The data points to an object containing substantial voids within its framework, indicating a hollow interior instead of a solid core. This is not simply a matter of low density. It signifies a kind of structured emptiness with layered internal arrangements that should not be able to resist gravitational collapse. Imagine the level of engineering necessary to preserve this structural soundness across the vastness of interstellar space. Natural formation processes typically result in either solid celestial bodies or loosely aggregated collections of debris, not meticulously organized hollow forms. This hollow design strongly implies something constructed, not something that formed through natural accretion. Spectroscopic analysis confirms this layered construction, showing a nucleus rich in nickel enveloped by concentric shells of cyanide and other volatile materials. This is no haphazard collection. It is a deliberate arrangement capable of enduring incredible mechanical stress and temperature extremes. The object's reflectivity introduces another piece to this structural enigma. Light reflects from its surface with a consistency that indicates an exceptionally smooth, almost polished texture, a quality seldom observed on natural celestial bodies scarred by ages of cosmic impact. This uniform albedo suggests a surface that was not created naturally but has been intentionally refined or manufactured. The chemical makeup further subverts our expectations, releasing carbon dioxide at 10 times the rate of a typical comet and featuring an unusually high concentration of nickel with almost no iron. This chemical architecture seems to operate as a cooperative network, a self-regulating system for thermal control. The evidence of significant internal voids and layered structures contradicts all models of natural formation, as such arrangements do not spontaneously endure through random cosmic processes. The engineering implications are staggering. This structural anomaly compels us to rethink what we are truly seeing. The void within Atlas is not an absence. It is engineered space, vital for its survival on an interstellar journey, hinting at a degree of manufacturing far beyond natural phenomena. We now turn to the thermal signature of Atlas. Any natural object in space, when warmed by a star, displays a reasonably uniform distribution of heat. Atlas breaks this rule. Infrared imaging reveals that one side of the object consistently maintains a starkly different temperature from the other. This thermal imbalance, or anisotropy, continues regardless of how the object rotates or its position relative to the sunday. This pattern points to active thermal regulation rather than passive solar heating. Contemplate the engineering challenge of sustaining directional temperature control within the vacuum of space. This is more than a curious anomaly. It is proof of internal systems at work. The thermal gradient is consistent with what one might expect from radiator arrays or advanced heat shielding technology. Natural bodies simply do not sustain such precise temperature differences without some form of internal mechanism. The data suggests a system intentionally designed to manage its energy flow. This thermal signature is our first clear sign of active systems operating within Atlas. The object behaves less like a passively heated piece of rock and ice and more like a device with its own internal heat source or a highly sophisticated thermal management system. Researchers have pointed out that Atlas is either generating its own heat, a characteristic never before seen in a natural comet, or it is fitted with a thermal regulation apparatus. The persistence of this temperature differential is especially revealing. A natural object would exhibit temperature fluctuations as different surfaces rotate into and out of sunlight. The fact that one hemisphere remains consistently hotter, irrespective of these changes, points to an active, ongoing process. This ability to control heat in such a precise manner, particularly in the harsh environment of space, marks a significant deviation from the behavior of all known natural comets. This observation fundamentally challenges our conventional understanding of natural objects in space. Comparing this to known spacecraft engineering principles underscores the artificial nature implied by the thermal data. The object's capacity to maintain specific temperature differentials signals a system built for deliberate energy management, not a passive reaction to solar radiation. This thermal signature is seen as a key indicator of active systems functioning within the object. The implications force you to pause and reevaluate everything. What we are observing is not a simple clump of ice and rock responding to its surroundings, but an entity that appears to be actively controlling its own internal state. This degree of control points toward a technological origin, shifting the conversation from a geological curiosity to an engineered artifact. The thermal data offers a critical piece of the puzzle that cannot be readily explained by any known natural process. Now we examine the object's trajectory, and it is in its motion that the data becomes statistically astounding. An object moving at interstellar speeds should trace a predictable hyperbolic path dictated solely by the force of gravity. Atlas's journey, however, displays minute but significant deviations from this anticipated route. These are not arbitrary wobbles, they are precise, calculated maneuvers. The velocity changes happen at specific moments that show no correlation with any known natural phenomena, like outgassing or the pressure of solar radiation. Consider the degree of control needed to execute course adjustments at such incredible speeds and over such vast distances. These modifications are described as subtle, almost microscopic, yet they are confirmed by our most sensitive instruments. The absence of any visible exhaust trails or plumes only adds to the mystery of the mechanism driving these trajectory alterations. It suggests a propulsion system that is either incredibly efficient, fundamentally different from our own, or entirely unknown to modern science. Strikingly, the timing of these adjustments appears to coincide with optimal windows for observation from Earth. This synchronization hints at an awareness of our ability to watch it, as if the intelligence guiding the object is deliberately ensuring its visibility. This correlation pushes the explanation beyond simple natural events and suggests a conscious interaction with our attempts to observe it. It feels less like a product of random chance and more like an unfolding design meant to be seen. The precision of these course corrections far surpasses what could be accomplished through any natural process. Unlike typical comets, which might unpredictably shed material and alter their path, Atlas's movements are controlled and purposeful. Each adjustment preserves the object's overall trajectory while also optimizing its visibility from our planet. This indicates a sophisticated level of navigation that is not accidental but intentional. The pattern of motion reveals a degree of control that challenges our basic understanding of physics, forcing us to entertain the idea that we are not just tracking a piece of debris, but potentially a guided vessel. Let us now inspect the very substance of the object itself, the materials that constitute this mysterious visitor. Spectroscopic analysis of natural space objects typically shows a uniform chemical blend, a chaotic mixture created by random accretion. ATLAS, however, displays a highly structured chemical organization that departs radically from this norm. The data reveals a core rich in nickel encircled by layered cyanide compounds. This is not a random distribution or a homogeneous mix. It is an arrangement that implies a deliberate internal architecture. The concentration of nickel near the center is abnormally high for any known type of natural object. This metallic nucleus provides immense resilience against extreme conditions, functioning as a stable foundation. The cyanide compounds are organized in structured layers around this core, described as appearing almost like a purpose-built protective shell. This layered configuration suggests that each chemical stratum has a specific function. The composition appears almost cooperative, potentially acting as a self-regulating thermal management system designed to protect internal components from the severe external forces of interstellar travel. The release of carbon dioxide happens at rates 10 times higher than in typical comets. But this outgassing is not chaotic. It appears to be regulated, correlating with the object's thermal condition and its precise course adjustments. This chemical organization offers clues about the object's possible function and origin. Each layer seems to fulfill a specific role in the object's overall design, moving it beyond the concept of a naturally formed body. This suggests the object might be an artifact, a technological relic intentionally evolved or consciously built to withstand the hostility of the interstellar void. The chemical signature points to advanced materials science rather than natural geology. The evidence strongly favors technology. This organized distribution hints at a function beyond mere survival, perhaps related to its journey or a deeper purpose we have yet to understand. When you combine this deliberate chemical architecture with a hollow structure and controlled motion, the case for a manufactured object becomes considerably stronger. The convergence of these independent lines of evidence forms a pattern that is exceedingly difficult to attribute to random chance. This leads us to the object's most prominent and bewildering characteristic, the vast and stable cloud of plasma that envelops it. Here, the object's behavior becomes even more challenging to explain. ATLAS sustains a steady plasma coma that extends roughly 100,000 kilometers from its core. This plasma envelope engages with the solar wind in ways that contradict standard models of plasma physics. The object's antitail, which streams towards the sun, defies all known cometary behavior. This phenomenon, verified by numerous independent observatories, indicates a rejection of our fundamental expectations about plasma dynamics and radiation pressure. The plasma interaction implies active control over the object's electromagnetic environment. The stability of this envelope under fluctuating solar conditions suggests it is being actively maintained. Consider the immense energy needed to sustain such a large-scale plasma formation. Dynamic changes in this tail's orientation and plasma density have been observed to occur in sync with gamma-ray bursts detected from distant cosmic explosions. This suggests a complex interplay with external electromagnetic events, implying the object is not just a passive body being acted upon by cosmic forces, but an active participant in a galactic-scale electromagnetic conversation. High-energy photons from distant sources have been seen to actively ionize gases within its coma, fundamentally changing local magnetic field structures and distorting the plasma tail's form. Its plasma shield responds measurably to signals propagating from light years away. This behavior is consistent with what we might expect from advanced propulsion or defensive shielding systems. Natural objects cannot maintain such consistent plasma fields without internal power sources. The electromagnetic signature radiating from Atlas is highly unusual, with faint, narrow-band radio signals detected repeating in brief, clearly structured bursts. These signals bear no resemblance to the random noise of space, but show characteristics suggesting deliberate construction. They are synchronized with observed changes in light intensity and chemical ejection. This structured emission implies either a methodical, automated internal process, or perhaps even intentional communication attempts. The plasma system represents yet another layer of active control within Atlas, a sophisticated system for managing its electromagnetic environment that points toward engineered design rather than natural chance. Now, we confront a different type of evidence, one that originates not from telescopes, but from the actions of the very institutions that operate them. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory has limited access to vital Webb telescope data concerning Atlas. The European Space Agency has enacted a similar policy of data suppression and personnel reassignment. This synchronized control of information started at the exact moment the initial spectroscopic results became known, the very data that uncovered the object's layered chemical structure and its nickel-rich core. Freedom of Information Act requests have returned heavily censored documents. The timing implies that these institutions are aware of the object's potentially world-altering nature. Consider what kind of scientific data would justify this level of security classification. The information blackout extends across multiple international space agencies, all at the same time. This pattern of concealment is in stark contrast to standard scientific procedure, where data is typically shared openly to foster collaboration and speed up discovery. Scientists who were part of the initial analysis have been moved to different projects, barred from meetings, and systematically isolated from the ongoing research. This has fractured international research alliances that have historically worked together on discoveries far less strange. The restrictions make independent verification of the most anomalous data, like the thermal anisotropy, and the precise trajectory adjustments impossible. The information control itself becomes evidence in our investigation. The curtain of secrecy fell the instant the data began to suggest a non-natural origin. Initial observations of the object's speed and brightness were made public without any issue. The change to secrecy was not gradual. It was like a switch being flipped the moment the evidence started to challenge our fundamental assumptions. This suggests the institutions learned something they believe is too sensitive for public knowledge. This secrecy leaves us with two equally unnerving possibilities. Either government agencies have found something so profoundly paradigm-shattering that they have concluded our civilization is not psychologically ready for the truth, or they are paralyzed by data they cannot explain and are afraid to release information they do not fully comprehend. Neither option is comforting, but both underscore the extraordinary character of this situation. The very act of agencies withholding and censoring information, particularly while citing national security for a comet, suggests that the protected data is viewed as exceptionally sensitive. This makes the institutional reaction not merely a barrier to research, but a critical variable in the equation of what Atlas truly is. The cover-up becomes as significant to the analysis as the discovery itself, forcing us to ask why this particular object, out of all others, would provoke such a coordinated global response. This brings us to the wider context. Atlas is the third confirmed interstellar object to visit our solar system in recent years, following Oumuamua and Borisov. Each of these visitors has displayed increasingly complex anomalies that defy our models. This sequence implies a progression, not a series of random events. Consider the statistical likelihood of 3 such unusual objects arriving within a single decade. After eons of seeming cosmic solitude, the scientific community's reaction has shifted from initial curiosity to deep bewilderment. Oumuamua exhibited strange acceleration without any visible outgassing, a trait that defied easy explanation. Borisov seemed more like a comet, yet it contained unusual chemical signatures that set it apart from any object native to our solar system. Now, Atlas arrives with a convergence of anomalies, combining the most baffling features of its predecessors with additional, seemingly engineered characteristics. Its brightness surpasses all predictions. Its velocity defies calculations. Its dual tails contradict conventional plasma physics, and its chemical makeup suggests deliberate construction. It is this escalation in complexity that demands our attention. The timing and the nature of these objects could suggest a deliberate pattern of reconnaissance. Each visitor seems designed to probe a different element of our detection and analytical skills. Oumuamua tested our ability to spot non-gravitational movement in a small, dark object. Borisov tested our capacity for spectroscopic analysis of interstellar chemistry. Atlas now challenges our comprehension of structural engineering, thermal control, and plasma management in one unified system. The pattern points toward an intentional rather than coincidental series of arrivals. It seems less like a random sampling of interstellar material and more like a calibrated sequence of probes. This progression, from a simple anomalous acceleration to a complex object showing multiple engineered traits, suggests a methodical strategy. The global astronomical community is genuinely stumped, searching for explanations that remain just out of reach. This intensifying mystery highlights the unique nature of these visitors compared to anything observed before. The sequence itself becomes a crucial piece of data, compelling us to consider that we are not just observing rare natural events, but potentially a form of systematic external contact. Each new visitor provides more information, but also poses more fundamental questions about what is truly happening in our cosmic vicinity. When we synthesize the architectural, kinematic, and behavioral evidence, a consistent and deeply unsettling image takes shape. The hollow structure offers internal volume for systems or cargo, a feature with no logical purpose in a natural object, but is critical for a functional spacecraft or probe. The thermal management and plasma control systems suggest active operational technology maintaining the object's stability across the void of space. The precise course corrections demonstrate a level of navigational intelligence that transcends passive drifting. This convergence of anomalies strongly supports the artifact hypothesis over any natural explanation. Each piece of data, if viewed separately, might be written off as a peculiarity. But when the hollow core, the controlled temperature zones, the engineered chemical layers, the manipulated plasma field, and the non-gravitational acceleration are all considered together, they create a pattern that is nearly impossible to attribute to chance. The evidence points toward a designed object. Consider the purpose such an object might have traveling across interstellar distances. The Trojan horse metaphor becomes increasingly fitting as the evidence mounts. Like the legendary construct, Atlas has an external appearance that can be easily misinterpreted, while its internal reality is hidden and potentially far more complex. It could be a vessel built for long-duration voyages, a scientific instrument, or something whose function we cannot yet imagine. Each system appears engineered for long-term operation and specific tasks. The layered chemical structure is not just a composition, it's a functional design for durability and thermal control. The plasma envelope isn't a simple coma, it's a managed shield. The trajectory changes aren't random, they are precise maneuvers. The object represents technology that functions on principles we have yet to master, a system built with capabilities that clearly surpass our current knowledge of physics and engineering. This is not simply an unusual rock. The totality of the evidence suggests we are observing a technological artifact. The probability that natural forces could accidentally construct an object with this precise combination of advanced coordinated features is infinitesimally small. We are left with the conclusion that, while extraordinary is increasingly backed by the data, we are potentially looking at a manufactured object, and its arrival signals a moment of profound importance. The question is no longer if the object is anomalous, but what its presence, here and now, truly means for our understanding of the universe and our role within it. The implications of that realization are what we must now face. Atlas demands that we expand our scientific horizons. We can no longer attempt to force-fit these anomalies into our existing models. The evidence suggests we are not just seeing space rocks. We are encountering technology. The hollow architecture, thermal regulation, and precision maneuvers form a pattern that points directly to intelligent design. This discovery redefines humanity's place in the cosmos. We may be actors in a much grander story, one we are only just beginning to see. The implications are profound, demanding a fundamental shift in our perspective.